Hello and welcome back. In today's session, we are going to explore about the viewport shading. The viewport shading option you can see at the top over here. We are going to explore this viewport shading and we are going to do this by opening a model file. We are going to create this model in our next session. But right now we are going to open this file and we are going to explore this viewport shading in this session. I have actually attached a link so that you can download this file and preview it before you start modeling it. So for example, I will open that file. I will come to file open. If it asks for save, click don't save here. I will select this 4 Ashoka wheel file and click open. Now you can see this Ashoka wheel appearing over here. I have to tell you about one more feature available here and it is called as the viewport shading. Right now you are seeing this wheel appearing with a golden material. You are seeing it as it is because right now the viewport shading here has been set to, you can come and see here, it has been set to material preview mode. This is the third option here. And if you have a look here, you have 4 options available here. The first option is the wireframe. When I click on wireframe, you can see all the models are available with all its polygons visible to you. It is like the skeleton structure of your model. You can see the polygons that are used to create your surfaces. So right now if I select this outer wheel, you are seeing this outer wheel wireframe mode, and in wireframe mode, next to wireframe mode, you have one more button here to toggle. The keyboard shortcut is Alt plus Z. If I toggle it off, you can now see that this X-ray mode is off. You cannot see the object which are present inside these surfaces. Okay, but if I toggle X-ray, see, you can see the subjects that is present inside the surface, and this is called as the X-ray mode. Okay, this is the wireframe view. The second view is the solid state view. If I click on the solid state, now you are going to see this entire thing with polygons and surface. You are seeing the surfaces over here. And when you are seeing this with the surfaces, you have certain options that you can use which will be helpful to you in modeling. And for this, on the right hand side in this arrow, if you click, you have 3 types of lighting available. Right now this is in studio lighting. I can change it to matte cap and you can see how the lighting changed, and the third is flat. So flat means you are not going to see any of the reflections. So you have flat, you have mid cap and matte cap and studio. You have 3 options over here, and you can also click on it and choose various type of lighting. I can choose this lighting. You can change the lighting here to see how actually this object works. So you have this option for you to preview it. And also the color, it is right now choosing the color from the material. You can choose it from the object, you can choose it from the attribute. You have random. Random means every object here will be given a random color, so that it is easy for you to identify them in the scene. And then you have the background setting, and the most important thing here is you have backface culling. For this I am going to come into this feature later. Let us switch it off. You have another option here called as cavity. If I enable cavity, then you can see the edges appears more sharper. And also I will come back here, and in cavity type you have world screen and both. I will choose both, and you can see how the model is previewed with cavity on. You can now see the actual underlining polygon skeleton structure along with the model. So, this gives you a good look, and I can also make all the effect, how much of ridge appearance I have to control, how much of valley appearance I have to control, all this I can set it here. And also I have enabled outline and specular lighting, and all these features are available in viewport shading. Okay. So, apart from viewport shading, you have the next option is material shading, and in material shading, since I have added a gold material to it, say for example, I select this object, and if I come to texture, you can see this has been given a material called gold, and I can see its preview in the scene, and this is called as material preview. And the fourth one that you are seeing here is the display render preview. When I enable display render preview, now you are going to see this object along with the lighting. Since we have just one light present over here, you are seeing its reflection on a small part of this over here. Okay. So, these are the 4 modes of viewport shading available to you. The first viewport shading is actually wireframe, solid view, material preview, and finally the render preview. We have these 4 options, and in render preview we have 2 types of shading available in Blender. One is the EV shading and the another is the cycle shading. EV is used for real time rendering. You can make these changes if you come to the render window over here. You have one render properties window. If I click on render properties, you have render engine. In render engine, I have EV. The other is the workbench, which is nothing but the shader view, and the third is the cycles. You have 3 views here, and I am right now setting this to EV. And whenever you are using cycles render, now the thing is, since this calculates all the features of your lighting, this is a more processor intensive application, and to make this object render faster in cycles, we are going to make use of our graphic card. For this, if you come to edit, preferences, you come to system, and in system, if you have a graphic card installed in your system, you can either choose CUDA or optics, HIP and OpenAPI. You have 4 features available here. Right now, since this is a Windows machine with NVIDIA card, I can only use CUDA and optics. And if I use CUDA, you can enable which graphic card your system has to use. Once you enable this here, I will choose optics here. I will close this, and now if I come to the feature set and device, in the device I can change it from CPU to GPU compute. And once you change it to GPU compute, the rendering will be much faster. And in future, you have supported and experimental. You can choose any one of this. Okay. So, these are some of the shader settings viewport shader settings that we are going to use, and in this session we have just explored about this viewport shading. And remember, this viewport shading can be accessed also by a keyboard shortcut Z. So, if I press Z on my keyboard, then you can see render, wireframe, material preview and solid. This we call it as pie menu in Blender, and this is available here, and I can choose wireframe to see it in wireframe. I can press Z and go to solid mode. I can press Z and go to material preview, press Z and go to rendered. So, I can choose any of these options over here. Right now, these are some of the viewport shading settings that we have explored today. In our next session, we are going to explore all the available primitive models in Blender. That is, in Add Mesh you have all these primitive models. We are going to explore all these primitive models, and we are also going to explore about how to use the cursor point. This we are going to discuss it in our next session. Thank you.